We'll take a look again. There is the warning polygon. As you can tell, there still is a severe thunderstorm warning for Hobbs, but there's no tornado warning active in Hobbs or anywhere in Lee County. That tornado warning is in Gaines County, and the biggest threat is Highway 180 to the west of between Hobbs and Seminole. There in Gaines County is where we have the strongest circulation. And we still do have an active tornado warning northeast of Fort Stockton. Fort Stockton, you are not under a threat of tornado right now. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning. However, areas to the east of Fort Stockton, looking at Highway 385, well to the northeast of Fort Stockton, this circulation is heading in your direction. Still a broad rotation, nothing entirely strong, and we don't have a confirmed tornado with that one. We have had a confirmed tornado at times with this storm. That confirmation was 15 minutes ago based on a storm spotter report. Let's see. No new updates at this moment in time. We continue to have that tornado warning until 2:15 west of Seminole. Continue to see a decent rotation there with that storm and that tornado warning, including Seminole, but mainly the biggest threat here looks to be Highway 180 west of town. Between Hobbs and Seminole is where we do have the strongest rotation with this storm as it moves up to the north and the east. Any updates, Dan? Let's see. Nothing right now. Okay, continue to see this tornado warning in progress. Looking at velocity right here, we're not seeing as strong of a rotation as we once did. So that is good news, but these storms can spin up very, very quickly. They can spin very, very quickly, lose some of the rotation, gain it back, and we still do have some decent rotation with this storm. Kind of right, I'm going to pause this at the last frame, and I'm going to circle where we do have that strongest rotation, kind of coming up on the Highway 180. That's where we have the strongest rotation right now. So Highway 180 between Hobbs and Seminole needs to be prepared, staying inside and keeping up with the weather, because a very serious thunderstorm with baseball-sized hail possible with this as well. And that baseball-sized hail core is right to the left of where I drew, right to the west or left, depending on what you're looking at, that circle. That's where that hail core is, and that could be up to baseball-sized hail right along Highway 180, just to the east of Hobbs. We're talking 5-6 miles east of Hobbs, and likely around 20 miles west of the Seminole area, right there along Highway 180. Again, that circulation that I drew is moving in this general direction into rural areas of northern Gaines County. Folks along Highway 214 northwest of Seminole need to be watching this storm very, very closely. 214 need to be watching the storm very, very closely as this circulation moves to the north and east at around 30-35 miles an hour. And even folks in Seminole, if this storm decides to move off to the east, which it very well could, you need to be taking shelter as well from this storm right now. Time now is 1:40. This warning goes until 2:15 for 35 more minutes. At that point, the National Weather Service will decide if they would like to continue with that warning. I'm going to do that real quick. Tornado warning still is active there in Gaines County. And again, Highway 180 is the place that you want to be taking shelter from the storm right now, just to the west of Seminole. See if we have another radar scan. And continuing to see some weakening. We don't see all the reds and the greens right up against each other right now. You see kind of those grays in the middle of them. So that's a good indication that this rotation is weakening a little bit. The last report of a tornado on the ground was now 15 minutes ago. If I were to care to guess, I think that tornado is likely lifted at this point, but there still is a tornado warning in place right now west of including Seminole, but in Gaines County, and that rotation is between Hobbs and Seminole at this time. The rotation of it, I'm going to draw the rotation if my radar wants to work. There we go. Yeah, that rotation is right here in that general area, just to the south of Highway 180, and again, moving to the north and the east. But folks in Seminole, west of Seminole, need to be taking shelter. Again, this is a tornado warning that is still in place at this time, at this moment in time. So y'all be taking shelter away from the storm and being in the interior room of your home. Because that we do have some weakening rotation with the storm right now, we haven't had a confirmed report on the ground in the last 17 minutes or so. We're going to send you back to regularly scheduled programming. However, if you do want to continue coverage of this storm, go to Facebook. We'll be continuing coverage on Facebook Live on the NewsWest 9 page. So go to Facebook and continue that coverage. For the rest of you, we'll have another update coming up likely in the next 10 to 15 minutes, but we'll send you back to regularly scheduled programming until then. Is your mic on? All right, we're still on Facebook Live. I'm going to give things over to my main man, meteorologist Dan Grigsby. He's going to walk through some of these new updates. I think we just got a new update, Dan.
Okay.
And I'll try to relay you some of that information.
So we've got the tornado warning just to the west of Seminole, headed to the northeast right now. Let's go ahead and put the velocity on this.
Yeah, and it is a radar indicated rotation. They've about to cross Highway 62, 25 miles west of Seminole.
Okay, so radar indicated rotation, radar indicated tornado just west of Seminole. What were the roads? One more time, Anthony.
Highway 62 and 180 right there, as you see on your screen.
Highway 62 and 180 is where the tornado is located. Radar indicated tornado. Let's go ahead and go back to reflectivity here. Let's see. All right, tornado warning, 3-inch hail is possible for Gaines County until 2:15 Central Daylight Time. Well, let's see. We've got another severe thunderstorm warning just north of Jow currently until 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Tornado warning has been extended in Pecos County. Looks like it's going towards a pretty rural area, but definitely do not want to be traveling on I-10 right now, so just stay put if you are in Fort Stockton.
Yeah, tornado warning. That's an observed warning right there in the Pecos area, Pecos and Fort Stockton. An observed tornado on the ground. Looks like going to cross I-10. I'm going to talk to my director here. Can we actually go back on air, Josh, and play the stinger whenever we are?
You want to take over right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you post that?
Yeah. Did you post it on yours already?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Stand by. Hey, sorry to interrupt programming one more time, but we do have another update for you with severe weather continuing in parts of West Texas. We still do have 2 tornado warnings in progress right now. One of them in Pecos County, the other one in Gaines County, Texas. And the new one there in Pecos County, we do have a report of a confirmed tornado on the ground with this storm. Again, that storm is moving east of Fort Stockton. Fort Stockton Stockton. You are not included in that tornado warning at this time. However, that tornado, according to the National Weather Service, was located 10 miles east of Fort Stockton, moving southeast at 15 miles an hour. If you live along I-10 or Highway 385 just to the east of Fort Stockton, you need to be in that tornado shelter at this time, that the safe place in your home, between as many walls between you and the outside world as possible. Again, east of Fort Stockton, I-10 and Highway 385, you need to be taking shelter away from this storm. A tornado warning is in progress with a confirmed tornado on the ground there in Pecos County. Again, we do have a tornado warning still in place in Seminole, including Gaines County. This circulation here has weakened a little bit, but we still do have a pretty decent circulation right along Highway 180. So right along Highway 180, west of Seminole, there is potentially a tornado on the ground. We can't confirm that at this time, but could be a tornado there just to the west of Seminole, near Highway 180, Highway 62, west of town. You need to be taking shelter as well. If you are west of Seminole, even in Seminole, need to be taking shelter, because these storms, they can move pretty erratically, and if it decides to just move straight to the east, which it definitely could do, it could be heading straight towards you as well. So Highway 180, Highway 214, west of Seminole, need to be taking shelter. A tornado warning continues to be in place, and again, still do have a new tornado warning. You see that hook there on the radar in Pecos County, I-10 to 385. Take shelter from the storm. Take shelter from the storm as it moves off to the south and the east at around 15 miles an hour. Again, confirmed tornado on the ground there, I-10 and near Highway 385 east of Fort Stockton. I'll pause it right here. And it's hard to tell exactly where it is based on velocity, but we do have a confirmed tornado on the ground with this storm right there. And it is, pause it, moving to the south and east at around 15 miles an hour. So in this general direction, we're talking I-10, 385, kind of that interchange right there is the area that is most under a direct threat of this tornado warning storm, and likely a tornado in progress on the ground in Pecos County. So y'all make sure you are staying indoors and doing everything you can to stay safe from the storm as it moves off to the south and the east. So we have that tornado warning, and still we do have the tornado warning in Gaines County as well, between Hobbs and Seminole along Highway 180. Continue to see severe weather in that region too. If you're watching from somewhere else, if you're watching from Midland or Odessa, we don't have any immediate threats at this time. We see a little shower forming just to the south right there, but there's no immediate threat. This thing right there could strengthen. We will continue to watch that and let you know if it does, but no immediate threat in Midland and Odessa. We do have a immediate threat though, with two separate tornado warnings, one in Pecos County and one in Gaines County. And with this Pecos County one, we do have a confirmed tornado on the ground in Pecos County east of Fort Stockton. So I-10, Highway 385, be taking shelter away from this storm. Here's a look at where you can be if you are under that tornado warning, the center portion of your home. So y'all just make sure that you are doing everything that you can right now if you are under any of those two tornado warnings. Again, Seminole area on Highway 180, that's where we do have a pretty significant circulation. And again, that circulation is right around here at this point along Highway 180 west of Seminole, about 20 miles or so, 15 to 20 miles west of the Seminole area as this continues to move off to the north and the east. So folks in Gaines County, please be careful with that one. And again, we do have one more tornado warning still in progress, a tornado confirmed on the ground east of Fort Stockton. Fort Stockton, you're not under a threat of tornado right now. That's good news. But I-10, 385, that interchange right there east of Fort Stockton, that is where we have the biggest threat right now. Real quick, we're going to toss things over to Crystal Cruz, who has some tornado safety tips. Crystal, this is a serious situation going on right now.
Yeah, we want everybody to be as safe as they can. So here are some safety tips if you are in the path of a tornado. Now, if you're in a home, go to a basement. Now, I know a lot of you in West Texas don't have that. So if you don't have that, make sure you go to a small room in the center of your home. Be sure to stay away from windows and try to cover yourself with a mattress or something like that. If you are in a bigger building, like an apartment or a huge building, a warehouse, go to the lowest floor that you can or seek shelter in interior walls. Now, if you happen to be driving in a car, you just heard Anthony mention that one of those tornadoes is in the path of highways and roads right now. So if you're driving, still try to seek shelter in a building or underground if you can. Now, if you're experiencing high winds while you're driving, park your car away from traffic. Stay in your car, stay buckled up. Put your head down below the windows, try to cover your head, and only leave your car if you can safely get lower than the level of a road. Now, if you are caught outside, this is what you really need to do. Still do your best to find any kind of shelter in a building. Now, sometimes that is not possible. Get away from trees and cars. Lie flat and face down on very low ground. So get as low as possible as you can. Be sure to protect the back of your head with your arms. Again, a lot of good safety tips there. Hopefully you are not in the path of a tornado, but if you are, you definitely need to prepare. Let's go now back to Anthony. He's going to get us up to date on the tornado situation. Anthony, is the warning going to end anytime soon? What are we looking at?
So we do have those 2 tornado warnings still in place. It looks like until about, they're not ending yet. There's still some decent circulation here. This one in Gaines County is going until 2:15, and still some good circulation along Highway 180 west of Seminole. You need to be taking those tips that Crystal just told you, staying inside and putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And this tornado warning is active until 2:30 p.m. this afternoon. Again, a confirmed tornado is on the ground east of the Fort Stockton area as the storm continues to move southeast at around just 15 to 20 miles an hour. That one's crawling, not moving too fast. It's also capable of baseball-sized hail, pretty big hail there. So that is also a very big threat with this storm. Even if you don't get hit by a tornado, you don't want to get hit by baseball-sized hail. Again, that confirmed tornado is located 12 miles east of Fort Stockton. It's moving southeast at 15 miles an hour. The other tornado warning is radar indicated, no confirmed tornado at this time in the Gaines County tornado warning, but that doesn't mean that we could have rotation tighten up again, and we could have another confirmed tornado with this one really any minute. That's why this tornado warning is still active at this time along Highway 180 between Hobbs and Seminole. Still do have that tornado warning in place. It does look like the rotation here has weakened quite a bit. You can tell, you see where the red and the green is right here? We have a little bit of a gap between the red and the green. So there still is broad rotation in this area right here. There's some broad rotation, but it's not super tight enough that would indicate a tornado on the ground. So that is good news. It looks like the tornado here that was confirmed earlier this afternoon, it may have lifted. However, that's still nothing that you still need to be taking shelter if you do live in that tornado warning area there in Gaines County. Even though the rotation has weakened a little bit, it's still strong enough that warrants a tornado warning, and it could strengthen and drop a tornado at really any given moment in time. So y'all make sure along Highway 180, 62 west of Seminole that you are taking shelter from this storm. If you're in Seminole proper, right there in town, make sure you're staying inside as well as the storm kind of approaches you from the west. Be taking shelter in Seminole. Another severe thunderstorm warning south of the Eunice area there in Lee County. Folks along Highway 207 need to be taking shelter. And again, this is where we have a confirmed tornado that was on the ground, that confirmed report less than 10 minutes ago, east of the Fort Stockton area. Make sure you are taking shelter as the storm continues off to the south and the east. Ground.
Hey, Anthony, we got
Yes.
a question.
Yes.
Just wanted to ask you really quick. people, when they hear the word tornado warning, it doesn't necessarily mean it's on the ground.
Right.
Can you explain that to people?
Yeah, we have two
Because-
types of tornado warnings, and we have both of them right now. This one is a tornado warning with a confirmed tornado on the ground, so it is even more serious. However, we have a different tornado warning right now, and it is considered radar indicated rotation, and we don't have a confirmed tornado on the ground. But this is a storm where it could form a tornado really at any moment, which is why a tornado warning is given to this storm in Gaines County. So it's a good question. There's two kind of separate types of tornado warnings. One like this one, where we have one with just radar indicated rotation, and it's strong, so there could be a tornado there. And I think we have a new radar scan, and it's still kind of the same thing going on right there. Very strong. Both of these storms can have baseball-sized hail, and this one is the one that has a confirmed tornado east of the Fort Stockton area. Confirmed tornado east of Fort Stockton. If you're along Highway 385 and I-10, especially kind of that interchange there of I-10 and 385, that is the biggest threat of this storm as it moves its way around 20 miles an hour to the south and the east.
Anthony, I also have another question.
Yeah, Crystal.
You know, even though there's not a tornado that is actually on the ground, that rotation and stuff, there's still a lot of bad stuff that comes before it. And we are talking
Yep.
about hail. I don't think people, you know, when you see hail like that big, baseball, softball
Yeah.
size, the potential for that. Let's talk about the danger of that, just as it's headed in.
Yeah, absolutely. Very dangerous. It could have that baseball-sized hail. Both of these storms are warned right now for baseball-sized hail. And where you see the brightest colors here, the reds, the purples, that's where we have that baseball-sized hail at this moment in time. I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit. I'll pause it at the end. And right now we have that baseball-sized hail basically anywhere we have this right there. That's where that hail core is currently, and it's moving towards 385 right now and I-10. So baseball-sized hail with that storm in Pecos County, and we have baseball-sized hail potentially with this storm in Gaines County. It looks like we have two separate kind of hail cores right here, and the baseball-sized hail is located there and there. And it's moving in kind of in that northeast direction. Yes, Crystal?
Someone's asking right now about when you do get that large of a size hail, what is the most dangerous size hail when it starts becoming dangerous? You know, we get a lot of pea size,
Right.
quarter
And
size.
Quarter-sized hail is where we start to get the severe thunderstorm warnings. Anything under quarter-sized hail is not considered a severe storm. But once you get to quarters, it can start causing damage to property. And then, of course, just once you get even bigger than that, you get more and more damage, and it can also threaten lives if it gets to the point where you have softball-sized hail out there. So it can threaten livestock, it can threaten crops, it can threaten lives across the region. So when you get the hail just huge, baseball to softball sized hail, that's when it becomes very, very dangerous, but it can start causing damage in as little as quarter-sized hail. So velocity data, still we have, looks like maybe two separate rotations with this storm right here. Two separate rotations, one of them north of Highway 180 and one of them south of Highway 180 right there. And again, they're moving off to the north and the east at around 30 miles an hour. So really anyone just under this tornado warning in that red polygon right here, first of all, baseball-sized hail is possible, and that tornado is also possible with some pretty strong radar-indicated rotation. From Seminole to the west on Highway 180 and also to the northwest of Seminole on Highway 214 need to be taking shelter away from this storm as it makes its way off to the north and the east. Let's see, we have a confirmed report from Storm Spotter. Tornado crossing I-10 just before the junction of 385. So we just got a new confirmed report of a tornado on the ground right near that 385 and I-10 interchange east of Fort Stockton. A new confirmed report of a tornado on the ground right in this area right there. So if you're around that area or you had plans to go there, cancel those plans right now. And if you're in that area right there, you want to make sure you're taking shelter away from that storm right now along I-10 and 385. A confirmed tornado is on the ground at this time, about 15 miles to the east of Fort Stockton. Confirmed tornado is on the ground 15 miles east of Fort Stockton, and we do have some pretty good radar indicated rotation. You see some of the brighter colors there. Crystal, what are some things that people can do if they're in their car, or if they're some of the tornado safety tips that you have?
Okay, let's go ahead and take a look again at these tornado safety tips. Now, if you happen to be in your home, you definitely need to go to a basement. I know a lot of you guys do not have a basement, so if you are in a one-story home, make sure you go to a small room that's in the center of your home. Here's something that's kind of a myth. People are always like, shut your window or open up your windows. Don't do that. Leave your windows alone, but you do need to stay away from those windows. Make sure you try to cover yourself. Let's say you go into the interior of your home, you've got a bathtub or something, put a mattress over you, something to protect your head. Now, if you happen to be in a bigger building, like an apartment building, make sure you go to the lowest floor you can. So go down, bang on your neighbor's doors, and ask them if you can seek shelter with them. Also, seek shelter with interior walls. You want to put several walls in between you and your outside walls. Now, as Anthony said, we have that one in Pecos County that is on the highway off I-10. If you happen to be traveling in a car, you still need to try to take shelter in a building or get somewhere underground. If you are experiencing high winds while you're driving, it's throwing your car all over the place, you need to park your car away from traffic. Stay in your car, stay buckled up. Put your head down below the windows and try to cover your head. And only leave your car if you can safely get lower than the level of the road. Here's something else to think about. If you just happen to be caught outside, still try to do your best to seek shelter in any kind of building. If that's not possible, make sure you are away from trees and cars. Lie flat and face down on low ground and protect the back of your head with your arms. There are a lot of things that you can do to stay safe. Of course, again, we are tracking these storms. There are two different type of tornado warnings that we're seeing out there right now. One of them Anthony mentioned is that there's rotation in the clouds. If you've ever seen it, it's really scary. That means it hasn't touched down yet, but with that rotation, you're going to get heavy winds, possibly baseball-sized hail. The other, of course, tornado warning is when there is actually one that's on the ground. So let's go back over to Anthony and see if we can get up to date on what we're seeing right now. Anthony, do we have 3 warnings out there?
Yeah, we have 2 warnings out there right now. A confirmed tornado on the ground right there on your screen. You see east of Fort Stockton near 385 and I-10. I just saw a photo on Twitter of the tornado on the ground. I'm trying to get permission to show that to you right now, but there is a tornado on the ground with this storm east of the Fort Stockton area. I-10 and 385, a confirmed tornado on the ground at this time. I say with credit to you, then send. Okay, and we're continuing to watch this confirmed tornado on the ground along I-10 and 385 as the storm continues on kind of that southeasterly trek at around 15 miles an hour.
Anthony, we got some questions.
Yes, questions.
About driving. You know, a lot of people have always said, get out, park your car under an underpass. Mm-hmm. That's a myth, right? Yeah,
you don't really want to park your car under an underpass really at all at this point, because that underpass can really act as a little funnel of very strong winds and can be even more dangerous. That's really not what you want to do at that point. You really just try to get out of that area as best as you can. If you see that tornado, just avoid it the best as you can. Go towards either east or west, whatever the direction away from the tornado that you're seeing it. Just drive away from that tornado the best that you can at this point if you do see it. Again, I-10 and 385, that is where we have a confirmed tornado on the ground at this moment in time. Confirmed tornado there in Pecos County. And we still do have a tornado warning in Gaines County. I didn't forget about y'all. Tornado warning still in place in Gaines County, including Seminole. Radar indicated rotation and a possible tornado along Highway 180 and 214 west of Seminole. That is the immediate threat right there in Gaines County. But again, continuing to watch that tornado warning there in Pecos County. Midland, Odessa, if you're watching from Midland, Odessa, a little shower trying to form, but nothing of an immediate threat for Midland or Odessa. Let's see. Trying to see if I can get permission to use photo that I see here, but we do see a tornado continuing across the region there east of the Fort Stockton area along I-10, Highway 385, continuing to see a very strong tornado there along I-10 and 385, so y'all make sure you are taking shelter from this time as that tornado continues. I'm going to grab my phone real quick and try to see if I can see anything else on Twitter as well. So here's a look at that tornado warning Friday until 2:30. That is when this tornado warning continues until. So y'all make sure if you're in that region that you are taking shelter from this storm. Like Crystal said, if you can get inside, that's best possible scenario. If you're in that area, driving in a car, just try to drive away from that tornado at this time. Again, I-10, 385, that is where that tornado is located at this time. Midland, Odessa, we're good right now. Severe thunderstorm warning for Eunice. A little bit of rotation probably with that one, but nothing that would indicate a tornado. And we still do have a tornado warning in Gaines County, the Seminole area. Seminole to north towards Denver City, seeing that very strong thunderstorm continuing in that region. Velocity data, the rotation is looking somewhat weak with that one, so that is good news. But confirmed tornado continues to be on the ground near I-10 and Highway 385. It's not moving very fast either, just moving southeast at around 20 miles an hour there to the east of Fort Stockton. So again, you need to be taking shelter from this storm. That tornado, I'm going to pause this in the last frame, located kind of in that area right here, just along I-10, moving to the south and east towards rural areas of Pecos County. Thankfully, in rural areas, but right now it's right along the highways there. So y'all need to make sure if you're along that highway to be taking shelter as this tornado continues to move through eastern Pecos County now, about 15 miles east of Fort Stockton. So a very serious situation continues to be ongoing there across the region. Continuing to track it for you here on NewsWest 9. But again, I mean, that's basically what we can tell you at this point. Very strong tornado warned circulation east of Fort Stockton continues to move off to the east pretty slowly at 15 miles an hour. And again, tornado warning is still active for the Gaines County storm as well. Both areas need to be taking shelter as these storms continue to move off to the east. Again, between Hobbs and Seminole, Highway 180 to Highway 214, that tornado warning is still active until 2:15. Time now is 2:10, coming up on 2:11. So within the next 4 or 5 minutes, we may be able to see that tornado warning be canceled there in Gaines County if we don't see any more reorganization.
Just south of Eunice, tornado warning.
Oh, new tornado warning for that storm that we just talked about just to the south of the Eunice area. We now have 3 active tornado warnings in West Texas and southeast New Mexico. This new tornado warning is south of Eunice along Highway 18. And we'll see if we have information on that one. It's radar indicated rotation 10 miles north of Jow Airport or 10 miles south of Eunice, and that storm is moving to the east at 25 miles an hour. So we do have a new tornado warning south of Eunice, north of Jow, along Highway 18 right here. in New Mexico. That tornado warning goes until 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Central Time, and it does include portions of western Andrews County. If you do live in western Andrews County along Highway 176, or you live right along Highway 18 in Lee County, New Mexico, there is a new tornado warning right there in eastern Lee County. So you want to make sure you are taking shelter from the storm as well. Yes, Crystal, we have a couple of questions.
Yeah, one of our viewers wants to know whether or not, to tell us more about the winds in these tornadoes. Are these big tornadoes, little tornadoes? Can you kind of describe the winds and the power of them?
It's definitely hard to tell exactly how big the tornado is just by looking at radar right here. I've seen a couple pictures on Twitter, still trying to get permission to show you. And it looks like relatively small tornadoes at this time. At least for the only confirmed tornado that we have is the Pecos County tornado. But even if it's small, within minutes it can get much larger. So it's really not an issue of how big or small it is at this moment in time. There is the potential, if we do have a small tornado, it could grow into a large tornado within minutes. So it's hard to tell, even with pictures, about how big it is currently right now. We do have a confirmed tornado on the ground right along I-10 southeast of the Fort Stockton area. In both tornado warnings up here in southeast New Mexico and the western Permian Basin are for radar indicated rotation as these storms move off to the northeast at around 30 miles an hour. Time now 2:13. So that northern storm, that warning is only good till 2:15. We'll see if the National Weather Service decides to extend it or not. But in Gaines County, it looks like the rotation has been weakening some. Still, though, if it strengthens, we could have a tornado with that warning. Looks like it's moving towards Highway 214 northwest of Seminole. If you're along 180 or 214 or even 385 north and northwest of Seminole, need to be taking shelter away from that storm at this moment in time, staying inside and being away from any windows. That is the best thing that you can do right now. And also, we do have that storm tornado warning south of Eunice, north of Jal, New Mexico. If you live along Highway 18 between those towns, you need to be taking shelter as this storm moves off to the north and east along Highway 176 too. East of Eunice and west of Andrews also needs to be taking shelter. You are under a tornado warning. And the one confirmed tornado that we do have still is in eastern Pecos County. Looks like to be moving maybe south of I-10 right now. Let's turn on the velocity here, and maybe right along I-10 we do have a tornado likely still in progress right here. Along I-10 east of Fort Stockton, likely still a tornado in progress there in Pecos County. So make sure you are taking shelter away from that storm. Again, a very serious situation ongoing in parts of West Texas and southeast New Mexico. See if there's any new updates from the National Weather Service. No new updates in the last couple of minutes, just those 3 tornado warnings at this time.
Anthony, we have a viewer question.
Yes, Crystal, a viewer question.
We're looking right now at 3 tornado warnings. What is causing all of these to fire up right now? Why so many? What are the conditions that are causing these right now?
Yeah, first of all, there's just a lot of turning, we call it vorticity. There's a lot of turning in the atmosphere, in the upper atmosphere, just a bunch of ingredients coming together. Vorticity, we also have a ton of moisture, dew points in the mid-60s right now across West Texas, which is very high for us to have. And just a dry line in place as well. So we have a dry line with humid air to the east side and warm and drier air on the west side. Those two come together and create rising motion. That vorticity turns it, and we get these right conditions for tornadoes to form. You can never tell how many you're going to get or how few you're going to get on a day like this, but we knew the conditions were right to have a few tornado warnings, and it turns out that is happening. There is some good news. That tornado warning in Gaines County canceled as of right now. Gaines County tornado warning has been canceled. We still do have 2 active tornado warnings in progress. This one in eastern Lee County, western Andrews County, tornado warning for radar indicated rotation, and a confirmed tornado with the one in Pecos County. That warning goes until at least 2:30, and if there's still a confirmed tornado, of course, it will go longer than that. Real quick here, we're going to send things over to Crystal, talk more about tornado safety.
Yeah, we want to get you up to date on some safety tips during a tornado if you're in the path of that tornado warning. If you are at home, the best place to go is the lowest level of the floor or a basement. If you can't do that, make sure you go to a small room in the center of your home. Stay away from windows. I want to address a myth really quickly. A lot of people think that maybe you should open your windows to allow the winds to pass through. Well, the National Weather Service has ruled that it is best to leave those windows alone, leave them shut. Those winds coming through your home could actually cause more damage. And stay away from those windows because there's a good chance that they could blow out and you could get hurt. The most important thing, you also need to cover yourself. If you are in a building with a couple of levels, let's say you're in an apartment building, or you're upstairs in a big office building, you need to make your way down to the lowest floor that you can. And you need to seek shelter in interior walls. The best thing we can tell you here, put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. If you happen to be driving in a car, still try to seek shelter in a building or underground. If you're experiencing high winds, park your car away from traffic, stay in your car and stay buckled up. Put your head down below the windows and try to cover your head. And only ever leave your car if you can safely get lower than the level of the road. And if you're caught outside, you still need your best to try to seek some shelter in a building. If that is not possible, this is the worst case scenario, by the way. Make sure you get away from trees and cars, lie flat and face down on the ground. If you can get into a ditch, make sure to protect the back of your head with your arms. And the reason for this is that one of the most dangerous things from a tornado is actually the flying debris that the wind picks up. And more people actually get killed that way from that flying debris that the tornado is throwing around. So worst case scenario, get to a ditch, cover your head, and these are just a couple of the tips that we have for you. I know a lot of people have been asking questions. We talked a little bit earlier about the strengths of tornadoes, and as Anthony said, there's no really way to tell right now. But one of the things, Anthony, we would like to emphasize is that whether it's 100 miles an hour, 150 miles an hour, 90 miles an hour, it doesn't matter. It picks up debris off of the ground and it throws it. And if you're in the path of it, there's no telling what you could be hit with. Anthony?
Yeah, that's exactly true. And I am seeing a few. We're trying to get some images of the tornado there on the ground in Fort Stockton. I've seen a few there on Twitter, and there absolutely is a tornado on the ground east of Fort Stockton right now. And there is a photo of maybe a little funnel trying to form east of Fort Stockton. Danny Cueto, thank you for sending in that photo to us. We really do appreciate it quite a bit. But we continue to track this storm right here as it makes its way east of the Fort Stockton area. Still trying to get some permission to use some of these other photos. Mark. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at the radar one more time. Again, east of Fort Stockton, tornado warning still in place right now. Tornado on the ground near I-10 east of Fort Stockton. Make sure you are in your tornado safe place at this time. And we still do have a tornado warning in place for the storm in eastern Lee County, western areas of Andrews County. And this tornado is likely, if there is a tornado here, likely located right where you see those reds and the greens touching right there, east of Highway 18, and likely moving towards Highway 176 in Andrews County. We're talking in this general direction, we have a possible tornado, and it is moving towards Highway 176 in Andrews County. That's east of Eunice and west of Andrews, northwest of Andrews. The folks in that area need to be taking shelter at this time as this tornado continues to make its way, or tornado warn storm continues to make its way into your area. Yes, Crystal.
What should people do if they live in a mobile home?
If you live in a mobile home and one of these tornadoes is coming at you, hopefully you have, if there's a local business, if there's a friend that you have, you really don't want to be in that mobile home. If there's a local business that's nearby, that's a structurally sound building, if you have a friend that has a non-mobile home, you kind of want to be in that area too. So take action right now and try to go somewhere else if you do live in a mobile home. If you do have a friend or a local business nearby that you can go to, that is the best thing that you can do at this moment in time. If you are in one of these tornado warnings, that's the best thing that you can do. We have a video. Let's go ahead and bring up that video from McCamey looking south. That is a very good video of that tornado in Pecos County. Again, this video taken from the McCamey area and looking to the south. McCamey, you're not under a tornado warning, but this video, you can see it from there. You can see miles and miles away. Very good video right there of that Pecos County tornado as it continues to spin up near I-10 and Highway 385 east of Fort Stockton. Incredible video, honestly, right there. Thank you to the viewer that sent that in. Absolutely incredible as that tornado continues near I-10 and 385. What was it? Tyler Woodfin sent in that video. Thank you so much, Tyler, for sending that in and letting us use it. It definitely is a very helpful tool to see that visual and to let you see exactly what's happening there in Pecos County. That video might have been taken just a few minutes ago because we've seen many photos on Twitter and social media of this tornado continuing there east of Fort Stockton along I-10 and near Highway 385. So thanks, Tyler, for sending that video in. Absolutely appreciate it. Very good to just see those visuals there in action. NWS chat, see if we have any more indication. That Gaines County storm that no longer has a tornado warning is also capable of baseball-sized hail still, and we still do have a tornado warning for an observed tornado 21 miles east of Fort Stockton, moving southeast at 20 miles an hour. Large hail also with that storm as well. So large hail and the tornado continues with this storm east of Fort Stockton, around 20 miles east of Fort Stockton, and moving to the east. So it's not under a direct threat for you folks in Fort Stockton at this time. It's along I-10 and moving off to the south and east currently. So y'all make sure you're taking shelter from that storm as it moves off to the south and east. And we still do have a tornado warning for this storm in eastern Lee County and now western areas of Andrews County. This storm also continues off to the east at around 25 miles an hour just to the west of the Andrews area. So,
Anthony, we have a question about
yes.
the Pecos County tornado. Is it picking up speed? People are wondering, is it building? Does it look like it's building?
It's not really picking up speed. It's just kind of staying consistently strong right now, consistently with a strong rotation, and it's only moving at around 20 miles an hour, so moving rather slow. Not really picking things up. It's a rather semi-small tornado at this point. It's nothing, it's not a huge wedge or anything like that. It's a relatively small tornado that is right along I-10. But like I said before, small tornadoes can gain strength. They can get larger, and that is something that is possible with this one as well. We're in a very good environment for tornado formation right now in West Texas, and it's exactly why we're seeing some storms right here that are producing some tornadoes. I mean, we've had 2 confirmed reports. One of them was about an hour ago. We had a confirmed report southeast of Hobbs that has since lifted. This tornado warned storm earlier is now just a severe thunderstorm warning, but it is capable of baseball-sized hail in Gaines County, just on the north side of Seminole. Baseball-sized hail is possible. And the same thing with this storm just to the south and east now of the Eunice area. If you live along Highway 176, west of Andrews. There's you see Andrews on your screen. 176 west of Andrews need to be in that tornado shelter as well. Like Crystal said, just the interior room of your home away from any windows is the best place you can be. Southeast of Andrews, southeast of Eunice, I should say, west of Andrews, we have that tornado warning in place. Midland, Odessa, still not a whole lot going on. You may see a few sprinkles right now, but things right now are to the south and also to the north and west of Midland and Odessa. Again, this Pecos County storm is the strongest one that we got going, with many reports of confirmed tornadoes on the ground as this continues to move off to the south and the east between Fort Stockton and Ira Ann. Ira Ann, you're not under the threat right now either, just between Fort Stockton and Ira Ann. I believe there's a little place called Bakersfield right here. Yeah, if you're in the Bakersfield area along I-10, be taking shelter. You're not technically under the tornado warning at this time, and this storm does look to be moving to the southeast of you, or at least southwest of you, I should say, but still in that area, be taking shelter. Very dangerous situation with a confirmed tornado near or just south of I-10 now, likely just south of the I-10 area, which is 25 miles east of Fort Stockton. Still that tornado warning in place.
Anthony, you know, there's a lot of oil field workers and gas workers out there. Concerns for them when they're out on the rigs.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very much so. We have concerns for them as well. So if you're in one of those areas, just try to take shelter as best as you can at this point. If you know of any structurally sound buildings around, get in one of those. Tornado warning still in place until 2:45 p.m. Central Time from I-10 down to the south, moving into very rural areas there in Pecos County. So that is very good news. Trans-Pecos Road, Harrell Road, Pluckett Road, Mitchell Ranch Road. If you are around any of those FM 2023, any of those roads I just named off, make sure you're taking shelter from that storm as it continues to make its way down to the south and the east. Picking up maybe some speed, 20 to 25 miles an hour at this time. So very serious situation, continuing to be ongoing at this time. Real quick, I do want to, it's just because it's so important, let's go ahead and send things over to Crystal again, who's got more of those tornado safety tips.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at those safety tips again. You definitely want to seek shelter, so let's take a look at that. So if you are in the path of a tornado, just be sure to go to the basement, or make sure you go into a small room in the center of your home. Stay away from windows. Don't open them. Keep them closed and stay away from those windows. You need to try to cover yourself. A good place may be an interior bathroom where you can throw blankets or something over you. If you're in a bigger building, 2 or 3 levels, make sure you go to the bottom floor, the lowest floor you can, preferably a basement, first floor. Seek shelter in interior stairwells. And one thing, you want to keep as many walls between you and the outside of the building. Now, if you happen to be driving, you need to still try to seek shelter in a building or underground. If you are experiencing high winds, it's pushing your car around, you need to park your car away from traffic, stay in your car and stay buckled up. Make sure you put your head down below the windows and try to cover your head. And only leave your car if you can safely get to a level lower than the road. Now, if you are caught outside, worst case scenario, still try to find shelter in a building. If that is not possible, get away from trees and cars and head for something like a ditch. Make sure you lie flat and face down low on the road. Protect the back of your head with your arms, because one of the most concerning things is when you're out in the open is the winds from that tornado picking up debris. That's caused a lot of deaths and a lot of injuries. Let's take a look at some pictures coming in from Fort Stockton. This is pretty incredible. This first picture was taken by Efren Sanchez. Look at that. Wow, that's amazing. You can see what looks to be a lot of rain. This looks like it may be out in the oil field. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez, for sending that in. That almost looks like the bottom of a tornado if you look right there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the second picture that was sent in to us. This is from Mike. Oh, that is definitely creepy right there. Look at that. The flag is completely straight. And if you look down here, you can see a lot of clouds, dark clouds coming down. It almost looks like the hook of a tornado coming down right there. Again, both of these were taken in Fort Stockton. We have a tornado warning going through Pecos County. Again, thank all of you guys for sending these pictures. We want you to send us these pictures, but when you do send them, we want you to be very safe when you do that. Luckily, they were far enough away. Pretty ugly situation out there. And Anthony, I know a lot of people are wondering, we've got a couple of viewer questions about what causes a tornado to finally fizzle out? What's it going to take for these to like die down?
Well, a lot of times you have what we call an updraft in a tornado, the air moving into the tornado. Sometimes these storms can go long enough that that updraft kind of gets cut off, and we get these tornadoes kind of fizzling out. You cut off some of the air that's going into them, and the tornado will kind of fizzle out. That's why they don't last forever. They're kind of like the storm will kind of kill itself in that way. We haven't seen that yet here in West Texas. These have been ongoing situations, ongoing storms as they continue to move off to the south and the east. See if we have any new updates from the National Weather Service. The circulation about 20 miles west-southwest of Bakersfield as this continues to move to the south and east. Again, right here, this is where we've had the confirmed tornado on the ground. And thankfully, very, very rural areas there of southeastern, now Pecos County, as it moves off to the south and the east. I'll zoom out and get a better perspective of exactly where that is. East of Fort Stockton, west of Ira Ann, kind of moving in the direction of northern Terrell County at this moment in time. I'll put a little arrow on it. There we go, that little arrow right there as that storm moves in the northern Terrell County, east of the Fort Stockton area and west of Ira Ann. That's where we have a confirmed tornado on the ground there in eastern Pecos County. Let's see. Again, still do have a tornado warning in place. Now this storm is moving into Andrews County. We do have some decent, strong rotation with this storm as well as it moves into Andrews County. Folks along Highway 176 need to be taking shelter as this storm moves towards Highway 176 and Andrews County. Between Eunice and Andrews along 176, y'all need to be taking shelter as this storm continues off to the north and east, kind of in that general direction. Continue to watch that tornado circulation right there. I think we do actually have a video from the Andrews area. We have a confirmed tornado there. That's Andrews, Fort Stockton. This is Fort Stockton. This is not Andrews. This is still the Fort Stockton storm, east of Fort Stockton, closer to the Pecos area. Charlie Wells, an incredible video right there of that tornado in Pecos County. Charlie Wells, thank you so much for sending that one in, allowing us to use it here on air on NewsWest 9 as we continue to track the location of this tornado. Again, this was in Pecos County, likely about 20 miles to the east of the Fort Stockton area as this storm continues to be a very dangerous thunderstorm. Again, incredible video there. You see it just whipping up the dust on the ground. Thankfully, it's only whipping up dust right there and not any structures or buildings or anything like that. So that is exceptionally good news. But incredible video there, Charlie.
Yeah, incredible.
Still, you have that tornado warning. It looks like this storm and heading into Andrews County could be strengthening a little bit right there. We don't have a confirmed tornado with that one there, but if you do live along Highway 176, there could be a tornado in this storm. It is possible. Highway 176 west of Andrews needs to be taking shelter with a tornado warning in place as that storm continues to make its way throughout the region. And again, tornado warning still in place in eastern portions of Pecos County. This is where we've had many reports, videos, and pictures sent in of the tornado on the ground, confirmed on the ground in Pecos County, east of Fort Stockton. Continue to have updates for you there.
Yeah, we have a question. When are tornadoes likely to form? Can you get them at night, in the afternoon, like where we are right now? Is there a particular time of day that they show up, like this one, these showed up, just before around 1:30 this afternoon.
And this is pretty early for us to be seeing tornadoes in the day. Normally, the best time here in West Texas, likely between 3 and 9 o'clock, kind of in the late afternoon, heading into the evening. That's usually when the instability in the atmosphere is at the greatest, but today was a little bit of a different scenario. That just goes to show they can happen at any time, most likely between around 3 and 9. But today we started to get tornado warnings at 1 to 2 o'clock, and we still had them going on here. So they can happen at any time, especially right now, as you've seen, confirmed tornado on the ground in the Pecos County area east of Fort Stockton. And it's still 2:36 right now. We've been dealing with these tornado warnings for, I think, over an hour here across West Texas as these continue to move generally in the easterly direction. These ones are moving to the northeast, and those ones in Pecos County are moving to the southeast as that supercell continues to kind of trek to the southeast at 20 to 25 miles an hour.
And Anthony, people are wondering, what does supercell mean?
Yeah, supercell is just a term we use for a fully developed, mature thunderstorm. Supercell is capable of producing all types of severe weather, like a tornado, hail, damaging winds. Basically, it's just a full-fledged, very strong thunderstorms. What we use the term supercell to describe that, and usually a supercell is capable of what we call all three types of severe weather when you have wind gusts over 60 miles an hour, hail over quarter-sized, and also the threat of a tornado. A supercell is usually capable of all three of those things. So that's kind of what we mean when we say a supercell thunderstorm. And again, the hail with this is also a big factor. Right along I-10, we could be seeing some baseball-sized hail at times with this storm. And again, that tornado circulation now is south of I-10, which is good news on some of those little ranch roads out there. Still, if you are out there on some of those ranch roads south of I-10, need to be taking shelter or finding shelter at this moment in time. And again, still watching this Andrews County storm. Again, this tornado warning, there's no longer a tornado warning in eastern Lee County. This tornado warning is in that red box in northwestern Andrews County at this time. A possible tornado right there. I'll see if the NWS just radar indicated there is no confirmed tornado with this storm at this time in northwest Andrews County, but strong radar indicated rotation 12 miles southeast of Eunice, moving east at 25 miles an hour. That comes from the National Weather Service office in Midland. So again, Midland, Odessa, still no threat at this moment in time. Big Spring, no threat at this moment in time, but we do have a tornado warning with a confirmed tornado for the last really hour or so there in east of the Fort Stockton area in Pecos County. That confirmed tornado has been ongoing for quite some time. Now is south of the I-10 area. And again, really maybe the bigger threat, because this one is moving in very rural areas. Thankfully, we do have a tornado warning moving towards more populated areas. Andrews County, if you live, again, between Eunice and Andrews, Highway 176, I can't stress this enough, you need to be taking shelter from the storm. And for more on that, where should people be taking shelter? Crystal?
All right, let's go over our tornado safety tips right now. If you are at home, be sure to go to a basement or a small room in the center of your house. Stay away from windows and try to cover yourself. Now, if you happen to be in a bigger building, let's say in an apartment or you're at your work office, go to the lowest level floor you can. Best is basement, first floor is good, or you can actually go seek shelter in interior stairwells. So if there's a stairway that's in the middle of the building, you need to go there. Now, if you travel by car and you encounter a tornado, still try to seek shelter in a building or underground. That is your best bet. One of the problems is when you're driving in that area, you're going to experience some high winds. It's going to start jerking your car around. Make sure you park your car away from traffic when it becomes unstable. Stay in your car. Stay buckled up. But one of the most important things you need to do is you need to put your head down below the windows of your car and try to cover your head. Do not leave your car. only leave your car if you can safely get to a lower level, lower than the level of the road. Basically, if you can get into a building. Now, if you happen to be caught outside, your best bet, again, always is to try to seek shelter in a building. If that is not possible, you need to make sure you stay away from trees and cars. The winds from the tornado can pick them up. That's flying debris. You need to lie flat and face down on low ground. Best area would be a ditch, a trench, something like that, and protect the back of your head with your arms. That is the most important thing that you need to do. Again, we've seen 3 or 4 warnings already today, Anthony. A very weird feeling situation outside. It's muggy and humid and kind of hot, feels wet. Like, what are the conditions that are out there right now that's making it right for these tornadoes?
Yeah, it's those muggy conditions that you said. We have dew points in the mid-60s, and that is the fuel for these tornadoes. Whenever we get dew points in the mid-60s, getting close to 70 degrees, you really start to feel that mugginess out there, and that is just the fuel for supercell thunderstorms like this to be able to form. You, of course, need other things. You need a source of rising air, which we do have with a dry line in place, humid air on the east side, and then dry air on the west side. So everything's coming together, spinning in the atmosphere and helping these tornadoes, these tornado warning storms, and actual confirmed tornadoes to form here in West Texas. So again, we still do have 2 tornado warnings in place. One, like I said before, we have 2 types of tornado warnings. The first one is where we just have radar indicated rotation. There is no confirmed tornado on the ground with this storm in northwestern Andrews County. However, one is possible. This is a tornado that definitely could spin up a tornado or it's a storm that could spin up a tornado at any moment in time. Again, Highway 176 between Eunice and Jow continues to see a strong thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. If you're along Highway 176, take shelter at this time. I cannot stress that enough. Andrews, you're not under a tornado warning, but folks to the west on 176, you are under a tornado warning. Midland, Odessa, still no threat as of right now. And we still do have that confirmed tornado that's just kind of moving around Fort Stockton. Thankfully, not moving in Fort Stockton. That is the very good news, but this storm continues to move to the southeast of the Fort Stockton area as this moves just at around 25 miles an hour. And this one is the one where we have a confirmed tornado east of Fort Stockton, southeast of Fort Stockton, as it continues to move off to the east there. So a couple very serious situations continuing to be ongoing. We do have, this is a tornado watch that is in place until 8 p.m. Every area you see shaded right there is under a tornado watch until 8 p.m. That means conditions are favorable for tornadoes to form. And again, there's 2 warnings right there. And we do have, I think, a video from Seminole. Is it of? No, this is just some very strong winds, and it looks like you see some hail there on the ground, strong winds, hail, and looks like some very strong winds. Thanks, Tina, for sending that one in. So even if you don't get a tornado, these storms are packing so much more of a punch, including those strong winds up to 70, even 80 miles an hour. The hail could be up to baseball size with a lot of these storms. And again, torrential rainfall and the potential of flooding. So thank you, Tina, for sending that video in and reminding me of some of those other threats. Again, that coming in from Gaines County, the Seminole area. You're not under a tornado warning in Seminole, but still very strong thunderstorms are in the area. Thank you so much, Tina. Do we have that video of the tornado again? Can we pull that up? Either one. Yeah, there's that tornado that was taken. This is the Pecos County tornado. Charlie Wells took this video right here, about 20 miles east of the Fort Stockton area, likely 15, 20 minutes ago. Again, that storm continues to likely have a tornado associated with it as it moves south of I-10 now. This was likely when it was closer to the I-10 area east of Fort Stockton, about 20 miles east of Fort Stockton, as that tornado-warned storm continues in eastern portions of Pecos County. Thanks, Charlie, again for that video. Do we have the other one too? Might as well show all these videos right here. continuing to see some of these videos and pictures pour in, and we do appreciate that. Again, this one's from Tyler, I believe. Tyler sent this video in of that tornado warning taken from the McCamey area. Again, that tornado video was taken from McCamey and looking down to the south towards Fort Stockton, just to the east of Fort Stockton. Very good video there. You can kind of see maybe a little bit of that dust being kicked up by that tornado too. We've been pretty fortunate so far that these confirmed tornadoes have not been in highly populated areas. Yes.
Video right here. When you look over to the right side of the screen, it almost looks like another twister down there. People are wondering what that is. So to the left, in the center, kind of in the center, you see the tornado.
Yes.
To the right,
Yeah,
that
just
is
some,
a really low crowd.
Yeah, definitely some cloud lowering. You can sometimes get that just with the rotation. You have a lot of air rotating around that twister right there, and you can get some of those lowering clouds as well. It's not another twister. You definitely have the main circulation right there with the tornado, but yeah, a lot of
People are
lightning.
noting the lightning, and that's common as well, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely common. With any of these thunderstorms, you get quite a bit of lightning. And a lot of times where these rotations, these circulations are, many times you didn't see a whole lot of rain right there. So a lot of times right where the tornado is, you don't see a lot of rain sometimes, which is good to be able to see where it is, but sometimes you can also get a rain-wrapped tornado, and it's even harder to see, and it comes up and it sneaks up on you. That's not what you want, but a lot of times we're able to get these rotations in places where we actually don't have a whole lot of rain falling in that particular location, and that was a good example of exactly that. See if we have any updates from the National Weather Service. Hail, we have a report of tennis ball-sized hail, confirmed report of tennis ball-sized hail 17 miles southwest of Bakersfield. And I showed you where Bakersfield was earlier. So there's Bakersfield. I'm going to zoom out, and that's about exactly where that radar is showing the largest hail. We have a confirmed report of tennis ball-sized hail right in this direction, right in that area right there. Tennis ball sized hail likely falling or is falling. Confirmed report of tennis ball sized hail 17 miles south of Bakersfield, which is right along I-10. So the main part of the storm now has progressed to the south of I-10, thankfully, in rural areas of eastern Pecos County. But if you're in that region, we continue to track a very, very strong thunderstorm. And part of that warning continues to now move into the northwest reaches of Terrell County, as this storm is still expected to just move on to the south and east there in Pecos County. It's still a tornado warning in place in Andrews County. See if the rotation has strengthened or anything. It does not strengthen, thankfully. This looks to be more like a straight-lined wind event, but there still is some rotation with it as well. Still, yes.
And we were talking about the difference in the two types of tornado warnings. This one you said was a rotation, but it's still
Right.
just as dangerous because it brings things with it like lightning and hail. Can you explain that?
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. I look at the last NWS warning on this particular storm, and we have, let's see, tennis ball sized hail possible with this storm right here that you're seeing on your screen. Tennis ball sized hail, a ton of lightning. I haven't shown the lightning tracker at all today. Let's put it on, see what's happening. Look at that. Look at all the lightning with this particular storm in northwest Andrews. And we do see a few strikes there closer to Andrews proper, right in town. So you need to make sure you're taking shelter right in Andrews too, as this storm continues to make its way to the north and the east. No confirmed tornado with this one. We do have radar indicated rotation, and likely we do have some very strong straight line winds, 70 even higher miles an hour wind gusts are possible with that storm in northwestern Andrews County along Highway 176. So make sure you're taking shelter as that storm continues to make its way off to the north and east. Severe thunderstorm warning, Seagraves area, north of Seminole, tennis ball sized hail, even baseball sized hail is possible and honestly likely with that storm. Highway 385 north of Seminole, likely seeing some extremely large hail with that storm right now. Middle and Odessa, the coast is clear at this moment in time. Tornado warning still in place there in Pecos County as the storm continues off to the south and the east. Again, southeast of Fort Stockton, that tornado warning is still in progress. And another tornado warning still in progress between Eunice and the Andrews area. Highway 176 continue to see a very strong tornado warned storm right there. It looks like the rotation is not entirely too strong with that one right there, but still that storm is capable of producing a tornado. So if you're along Highway 176 between Eunice and Andrews, be sure you are taking shelter. Crystal?
All right, we have some of our NewsWest 9 viewers sending us in photos. We don't have names or locations on some of these, but they're scary. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. Look at that. Oh my goodness, there's some of that hail. You can see the comparison there. That is bigger than quarter-sized hail. Almost could fit into that teaspoon right there. That is pretty crazy. This is terrible. Look at that. Look at all the hail. I believe this came from Seminole. We had this earlier. You can see how much hail is dropping there. And again, here is Pecos County. You can see the funnel cloud. You can see the actual tornado there. And you can see it's pretty big. Look at those wind turbines right there. Also, ominous clouds in the sky. Listen, if you guys catch any of this stuff, just text your weather photos to us at 567-9991. Tell us the location, where you're at. Okay, this one, super scary. You can see the low, dark clouds right there outside of this person's home. Again, thank you so much for sending these photos in. If you kind of look over on this one, you can kind of see what it looks like the hook or the tail coming down for those tornadoes. So pretty scary sight outside a backyard. This looks like the tornado is forming right here. Again, text us your photos, 567-9991. We'll put them on here so everybody can see what's going on. We do want to ask you to be safe when you are taking these pictures. Be a safe distance away. We don't want to put you in any danger. Here's some more photos that we have. Again, this photo looks like a big hook at the bottom there. Thick, scary, dark skies out there. And as you've seen from these pictures, a lot of hail is coming out of here. So while the clouds look ominous, there's still strong winds, hail, lightning. Even if it's just twirling and rotating up in the sky, there's still a lot of danger out there. So please be careful out there. Anthony, what are we seeing right now as far as those tornado warnings?
Yes, still tornado warnings, 2 tornado warnings still in place right now. I'll go ahead and get that warning back on the screen. There it is. Confirmed tornado still right there southeast of Fort Stockton. Thankfully, in rural areas of southeastern Pecos County, turn on the velocity data and the rotation right there where you see the bright green meeting the red. I'll draw for you right there, and that is where we have a confirmed tornado, likely still on the ground. Thankfully, though, quite a ways away from any cities or towns. Fort Stockton is 30 miles to the west, and it's moving off to the east. Ira Ann is north and east of this circulation. Sheffield is far to the east as well, and this circulation is moving in that direction right here, towards northwest portions of Terrell County. No major highways in the way either, so that is all very good news. And we are continuing to track another tornado warning. Let's see. Another tornado warning for this storm in Andrews County. We've lost a lot of the rotation there, which is a very good news. That tornado warning is likely still, it's until 3 o'clock when that is going to be allowed to expire as of right now. And it looks like it will be allowed to expire unless it starts to really start to reorganize even more. So, but still, it's still packing a huge punch. We're talking large hail, 60, 70, even 80 mile an hour winds are possible. That can be very damaging as well. And a ton of lightning with this storm. I was very impressed when I saw this earlier. Boom, look at all that lightning with that storm northwest of Andrews. So a ton of lightning right there as this supercell thunderstorm continues to move off to the north and east. And very strong storm also north of Seminole near Seagraves, where tennis ball sized hail is still possible with that one. You see some more development just on the northeast side of Jow that we will need to be monitoring as well. If you're in Andrews, you're not seeing a storm right now and probably won't in the next 20 minutes. However, we're seeing those storms just to your west, and we're seeing that new development near Jow. So you could definitely see a storm here in the next hour or hour and a half or so. So definitely be vigilant there in Andrews, and stay up to date with us in the weather here on NewsWest 9 as very strong thunderstorms continue to make their way through the northwest Permian Basin and also here in the Trans-Pecos and eastern portions of Pecos County, right there southeast of Fort Stockton. Let's go ahead and bring that full, can we, Josh? And you do see that tornado warning still in progress right there southeast of the Fort Stockton area. If you are in that tornado warning polygon, make sure you are taking shelter, as Crystal has been saying, in your interior room of your home and getting as many walls in the outside world as possible. That is an extremely important thing to do at this moment in time.
We got a quick question.
Yes, Crystal.
Somebody saw all of the lightning strikes that you had showed earlier, and they were curious as to why so much lightning with these storms. So you can see it right there.
They're just so strong. There's not really anything else I can say about that. They're just extremely strong thunderstorms, and you get that quantity, that amount of lightning with storms this intense. And maybe it looks a little bit worse since the strikes are pretty big here on the screen, but it's just a typical very strong thunderstorm when you look at the lightning. So it's still a very dangerous thing. Lightning can be deadly as well. So just by that reason alone, if you're in the path of these storms, you need to be taking shelter and staying away from that lightning. But just when you get supercells like this is what you typically see when you have this much moisture in the atmosphere. You get this much lightning when it comes to the storms of this magnitude. So good question, and it's a very typical thing that we see with storms of this magnitude. Is there any other questions that we have right now, or? Yeah,
we had a couple of questions about the hail again. You know, just a few seconds ago, we showed a picture of the hail. That is typically one of the most dangerous things that, besides the wind and the tornado itself, is one of the most dangerous things that comes out of these big storms. What should you do to protect yourself from hail? Look at that right there. That's from Tina. She is from Seminole. It is littering the yard right there. When you're in your house and something like this happens and you see it and you hear it, you should definitely stay away from windows and stuff. What should you do? I know I've had some friends who have lived in mobile homes and actually had it come through their ceiling or their window. So can you give a little bit of advice about that when you see that much hail coming out?
And it's kind of the same advice that we give with the tornado warning. You just want to be in that interior room. It's probably the safest spot. And like you said, away from windows as much as you can. Normally, we don't have hail going through roofs, but it has happened when it gets big enough like that. You're not going to see quarter or golf ball size hail go through any roofs or anything like that. But if you are one of the very unlucky people to see like a softball size piece of hail, it can make serious damage to roofs and even go through them every once in a while. So just being in the interior room, and like I said before, covering yourself with a helmet, covering yourself with a pillow, something like that. It's the same kind of advice that we give with a tornado warning to keep yourself safe from debris, keep yourself safe from that hail as well, for the off chance that you see hail that big. I don't think we're seeing anything that big right now in West Texas. That is very good news. But
what did you say? Softball was out in the county, the report from the Weather Service?
We had a report of tennis ball sized hail.
Tennis ball.
We have a confirmed report, 2.5-inch hail, which is huge. I mean, it is huge hail right there. Thankfully, we haven't had anything bigger than that, and we have no reports of such large hail around the Andrews or Seminole area right now, but still some large hail, golf ball size hail, even larger, has been reported in that region too. Here's another look at the radar picture. 259 right now, so I think we're going to be able to see this tornado warning potentially expire at 3 o'clock. So we'll see if it actually is able to do that. We've lost some of the rotation with this storm, thankfully, as it kind of forms into a line. You see the line extending from Seminole all the way down to almost Jao, New Mexico. When that tends to happen, tornado threat is still there, but the tornado threat is starting to decrease with this area right there. So that's very good news. We're about to get to the 3 o'clock area, 3 o'clock time, and we'll see if that red polygon kind of disappears from the map, or if the NWS will decide to extend it. We're about to get to 3 o'clock, and we will find out exactly what happens with this tornado-warned storm. See if the
Anthony, everybody's asking, we were talking earlier about this kicking up early. Usually we don't see this until later in the evening. This started kicking up a little after 1. What are our chances tonight to see this same stuff?
Much lower. And you just saw the tornado warning right there has disappeared in Andrews County. Good news there, but there is a new severe thunderstorm warning in Andrews, at least the north side of the town. Most of the town is included in that severe thunderstorm warning, and that one is for, let's see, ping pong ball sized hail is possible with that storm. So 1.5 inch hail, bigger than quarters, ping pong ball sized hail possible with that storm in Andrews County. If you live Highway 176, 385 north of town especially, you're under the threat of seeing that large hail in Andrews, and still a very strong storm northeast of Seminole. And to completely answer your question, Crystal, we're going to see storm coverage here through 6 o'clock or so, but then after that, the threat does go down quite a bit. So we're here for the next couple of hours with a decent tornado threat. And right now, the tornado threat seems to be only down here in Pecos County. And thankfully, it's in a very rural area of Pecos County to the east of Fort Stockton, well to the southeast of Fort Stockton. And I haven't seen any photos or videos lately, any new stuff lately of this storm in southeastern Pecos County, but it is still possible to have a tornado on the ground. There are no more tornado warnings in the Permian Basin, in the northern Permian Basin specifically. Large hail still is possible in areas like Seminole, Andrews, and these storms are going to move their way towards the La Mesa area as well as they continue off to the east. But again, tornado warning still is active there southeast of Fort Stockton right now. Again, southeast of Fort Stockton, continue to have a tornado warning in place.
We actually have some video of that.
Yep.
Maybe, Josh, can we pull these? Can we pull these up? The video again of the tornado that is in Pecos County. Look at that. These are some of the pictures. That is incredible. That's from Mr. Sanchez. Look how dark it is at the bottom. That is a scary sight. Again, if you have, look at that one, Anthony. That's pretty impressive as well.
Thank you, Mike, for sending that one in.
Can I ask a question? So on this picture, you can see the hook. We always talk about the hook. Can you explain exactly what a hook is?
Yeah, it's just like we get what you see on the radar is rain. You see the radar picking up little raindrops and sending it back to the radar as a signal. And when you see the hook on a radar, you see the effect of the circulating winds on you see the effect of a circulating winds on the radar when it's picking up that rain and kind of sending it in a circle. That's when you kind of get that hook on a radar, and that's kind of what causes that. Just that circulation is what causes the hook to form when you're looking at radar stuff. And we're still seeing a decent circulation on that storm in Pecos County right now. There's a video, Charlie Wells, an incredible video right there in Pecos County. Thank you so much for sending that one in. Just some incredible viewer pictures and videos today. So thank you so much, Charlie.
That's interesting to me when we're from the same area, so we've seen these before, but it's always interesting to me about how that debris is picked up by a tornado. Isn't it different than what we think when it sucks it up?
Yeah, you just have that circulation from top to bottom, from the cloud top to down at the surface, and it's nothing too complicated when it comes to that debris picking up. It's just the wind is so strong. You can get wind speeds with the strongest tornadoes, over 150, over 170 miles an hour at times, with the weaker ones likely sometimes between 100 and 120 miles an hour, but that can cause that debris to just be picked up like that pretty easily, and that's exactly what we saw right there. Thankfully, it wasn't like actual debris. We've seen a lot of dust being kicked up by these tornadoes. They were in rural areas of southeastern Pecos County. And again, no tornado warnings right now in Gaines or Andrews County. We have severe thunderstorm warnings with hail and even a flash flood warning now in northern Gaines County. And the one tornado warning we have is still in rural areas of southeastern Pecos County. Real quick, we're going to send things over to Crystal for more tornado safety tips.